up, everybody? It's your boy Petey Ma. I'm checking back in with you guys for another episode of Real Talk with Petey Ma. Been kind of crazy since graduation. Been going to look for a job. No luck thus far, but I haven't given up yet. Don't really know what's going on in the news except for this, and this is very big news to me. The Dallas Mavericks are now the 2011 NBA champions. Big ups to the Mavericks for getting the first NBA championship in franchise history. Congrats to everybody. Congrats to Jason Kidd. Congrats to Jason Terry. JJ Burrell. Everybody else a part of the roster. Shouts out to Mark Cuban, man. You are crazy. You are a crazy guy. And also big shout out to Dirk Nowitzki, man, because you've been there for 13 years. And you earned that, brother. You earned that. And now I just want to say this to everybody who all of a sudden was a Miami fan this year. It hurt when you fell hard from that bandwagon, didn't it? And I want to say this to LeBron James. You can't just jump on a ship that you feel is going to take you to the promised land. You got to build your own. That's what Mike did. And to Juwan Howard, I'm really laughing at you. Brother, please just go ahead and retire, because you made yourself look real bad. We all know why you went to Miami. You're trying to get a ring. It didn't surprise anybody. So, yeah. This episode, I'm not going to talk about the NBA Finals, which a lot of you people thought I was going to talk about. I'm going to talk about something else. To everybody who knows me, I'm a real big movie buff. So, this episode is particularly for movie lovers. And I'm in a genre that I'm really fond of are crime films. But in this genre, it's a lot of movies that are placed way too high up on the bar as being good, and a lot of movies that don't get their recognition for being good. And I got 5 movies. I just made 5 movies for each category that are overrated and that are underrated. And first I'm going to start off with the ones that are underrated. Number 5 on the list of films that is underrated is the movie Colors. Some people out there may feel that Colors is not underrated because you grew up in the 80s, but Colors doesn't really get as much play on networks like VH1 and MTV and even BET. It doesn't really get that much play. For those of you guys who don't know what Colors is, it's a 1988 film about gang life in Los Angeles, California. It follows 2 gang unit cops played by Robert Duvall and Sean Penn as they go through the streets of Los Angeles trying to clean it up from gang activity. Now, this was a very big movie. They said that when this movie came out that some theaters weren't even sure because they were scared of gang activity. They even had big problems down here, because I remember my brother Brian told me when he wanted to go see that movie at age 13, said he had to drive all the way to Gulfport, which is like 30 miles from my hometown, or miles from Mississippi, because gang violence was that bad even here in southern Mississippi. This movie, I say this movie is underrated because it has a lot of good talent in it. A lot of people who go on to be big on the silver screen. One guy who I say got this started, and he played Rocket in the movie, and that's Don Cheadle. I think this was like one of Don Cheadle's first roles, and he really didn't have that many lines because Rocket was a more reserved, laid-back type of guy. Damon Wayans was even in this movie as the PCP addict T-Dog, or T-Bird, excuse me, not T-Dog, T-Bird. He was in this movie, and also many of you know Glenn Plummer was in this movie, who many of you know as OG Bobby Johnson from the movie South Central, as most of you call it, Deuce, because that's the name of the gang he was in. So this film is underrated because it gave a lot of people an opportunity who are now big names in Hollywood right now their time to shine, as well as also had veteran actor Robert Duvall in a very well performance, him and Sean Penn. It was a very good movie. I advise anybody who's never seen Colors to go rent it or watch it on Netflix or even YouTube. That's the beauty of the 21st century. We have YouTube now. The next movie I want to tell you guys about is called Bloodline. This movie is about 2 brothers who grew up in Miami, Florida. It's a low budget, it's a hood film, as you may know. It's low budget, but it's got a good storyline. One brother goes off to become a cop, and the other brother grows up to be one of the biggest drug dealers in the city. Now it's low budget. It's got a lot of people from Miami, Florida in it, their neighborhood of Miami in it. But it's got a good story, and they did the best they could with acting wise. But the story is good, and acting's not that horrible either, so it's really tolerable to watch. So go look up Bloodline online and try to rent it or buy it. It was at Walmart. I don't know if it's still at Walmart, but it's a very good movie. I advise everybody to go watch it. The next movie up is Carlito's Way. Rise to Power. Not the original 1993 version, but this was 2005 prequel of Carlito's Way, Rise to Power. Me, honestly, I actually like Carlito's Way, Rise to Power better because it's more of a story. It tells more of a story of Carlito Brillante and how he became what he was in Carlito's Way. The movie stars Jay Hernandez in the title role of Carlito Brillante. It has Mario Van Peebles in it, who most of you know is the son of legendary filmmaker Mel Van Peebles, and also is a filmmaker in his own right because this guy directed New Jack City. And it also stars Burt Young, who many of you may remember as Paulie from the Rocky series. And P. Diddy also makes a cameo in the movie. And he's a pretty good actor too in this movie, but everything else he's been in, he really been bad, really sucked, honestly. The pros about this movie I like was that I like the way it took place in the time. I mean, how they showed that it was actually in that time period. Because a lot of movies, when they say it's in the time period, if they wouldn't have told you the time period it was in, then you would not know that it was in that time period because they don't dress that way. Props and stuff were in there that wasn't even thought of at the time. But this movie was a good movie. But the cons of this movie were, one, we didn't really even know what year it was. We get a hint that it was 1969 because one of the girls in the movie mentioned something about Woodstock. So that lets me know that it was around about 1969. And two, it was kind of inconsistent with the storyline that was in Carlito's Way, because Carlito's Way took place in 1975, and Carlito looked way older than how Jay Hernandez portrayed him in Carlito's Way, Rise to Power. But still a very good film. I recommend it highly. I recommend you go get that one as well. Another movie is the 1991 Prohibition film flick called Mobsters. This stars Christian Slater, who was a heartthrob at the time for ladies, Richard Greco, Costas Mandylor, who you know from the Saw series, and Patrick Dempsey, also known as Dr. McDreamy. This tells the story of four of the most notorious mafia gangsters: Lucky Luciano, Meyer Lansky, Bugsy Siegel, and Frank Costello, as they rise up the ranks in the world of organized crime. I felt it was a good movie, but the only thing I didn't like about it was a lot of historical inaccuracies about it. But you know, that's Hollywood. If you can get past historical inaccuracies, then you're gonna be well entertained by this movie. It's a very, very good movie. And number one on my list, and this movie is really underrated, it's called Blue Hill Avenue. I chose Blue Hill Avenue as number one because it's just a great story. It's real written, well acted, just all around great movie. And it was a low budget movie too. It stars Alan Payne, who most of you remember as G Money from New Jack City, and who's also played CJ on The House of Pain. I like this movie because of him, because this brother is very versatile. He doesn't get the due he needs in Hollywood or the recognition either, because this brother has been putting it down. He can sometimes be funny. If you ever seen C before, you know what I'm talking about, because this brother is very, very funny. Now I'm going to move on to the overrated films in crime drama. The first one that's very overrated to me is The Town. I say The Town because if you go back and look at The Town, it's nothing but a white male Boston version of Set It Off. the same way. You got one guy who wants to leave his area. He hooks up with somebody who works at a bank. There's cops that's been on their tail as they rob 2 or 3 areas. And the last part, everybody gets killed almost the exact same way as they did and set it off. And he even contacts the woman after he is where he is at the end. The next movie I'm going to talk about is Miami Vice, the movie, not the show, the movie. I went into this movie thinking that it was really going to be like the 1980s television show, you know, a lot of action, a lot of style. And I saw Jamie Foxx and Colin Farrell, who were 2 good actors. They were going to be in the movie. I thought it was going to be real good, but they were really just acting at each other. They weren't even acting together. They were like acting, they were just like talking at each other, not to each other. Because I remember one line they had in the movie, you ever get the feeling that everybody knows we're 16 miles out, but that's because everybody knows we're 16. I was like, that's the best writing y'all can come up with for this movie. And I was disappointed because I almost expected a little more from Michael Mann, who created the landmark television series, for him to let that movie do. Like, it was just dry. I mean, there was no action, which a lot of people who were probably who probably grew up on the regular series probably thought. It just was like boring, and it just didn't do it for me. It really didn't. And the next movie I say is overrated, and I really can't stand this movie. I don't even know how this director even got famous, because this was his first movie. It's Reservoir Dogs. That has got to be one of the boringest gangster films of all time. It honestly should have been a play, because that's how it was acted out. We don't get to see the bank heist like I thought. That's why I ran. I thought I was gonna see a bank heist, some shooting, some driving scenes. They spend most of the time talking about what happened at the bank, and you're told in the dark, making you like use your imagination. Not saying that I'm a dumb guy, but I could read a book if I wanted to use my imagination. I didn't pay all this money. I feel bad for the people who went to go see it in 1992 when it came out in theaters, because you had to pay all that money to see it. I fortunately got to go see it at Blockbuster when they had the 99-cent special going on at the time. But still, it was, I don't know how Quentin Tarantino got famous with that movie, because to me, it was not all that great at all. The next movie I'm going to talk about, it's not a bad movie, but it's been talked about and played so many times that I've just really gotten sick of it. And that is the 1983 version of Scarface. It's a good movie, a lot of action, but it just, see, when I first got introduced to Scarface was in 2003, when it was just being released for its 20th anniversary on DVD. So all the rappers were wearing the t-shirts and talking about it and saying how the movie was influential to them. So it just became oversaturated, and as years went by, everybody was saying Scarface is their favorite movie. You couldn't go to anybody's room without seeing Scarface in their DVD deck, or without seeing posters of Scarface on their wall, without seeing Scarface as their background on MySpace or their computer screens. It just became really overrated. And then too, now that I look at it, they used the F word entirely too much in the movie. I mean, sometimes I went back and watched, I'm like, it's not even necessary to use the F word that many times. I mean, good God. That's just ridiculous. Al Pacino is a good actor. He did a good job of capturing the essence of crime boss Tony Montana. But it's just overrated now. It's just oversaturated. They done played it to death on TV shows. I mean, on TV channels. It's just become overrated. This first one to me is the most overrated movie when it comes to gangster and crime films, and that is the whole Godfather trilogy. The whole trilogy, 1, 2, and 3. Those movies are just downright boring. I'm sorry. I honestly think the only reason why they're considered classics is I honestly think Francis Ford Coppola is hooked in with the mob. Because I mean, they had great actors. You had Marlon Brando, Al Pacino, James Caan, Diane Keaton, Robert De Niro. Yeah, they had the great actors, but it's just, they moved too slow. They were boring. I mean, it's just, I just didn't feel those movies. It's like Peter Griffin said about they insist upon themselves. Honestly, because I don't know why people consider these movies to be classic. They're so boring. I tried to sit through them all on several occasions and cannot do it. And I think Godfather 2 is so long, it's on 2 DVD discs. Not the movie and then the special features. The whole movie is on 2 DVD discs. Now the movie is too long if you have to put it on 2 DVD. Not 2 VHSs, because a lot of movies back in the day were on 2 VHS. This movie that's been converted to DVD, which is supposed to hold more than the VHS, is on 2 discs. That means the movie is too long. And then they say they have special features and deleted scenes. Good God, it's like the movie wasn't long enough. So to me, that is the #1 most overall gangster film of all time to me. Now, a lot of you may not agree with me. A lot of you may have something different. But that's my top 5 overrated movies and top 5 underrated movies of the gangster genre, and I'm sticking to it. That's been about my time. If you have a topic you want to talk to me about, email me at PeteyMac10@yahoo.com. Follow me on Twitter at notorious_comic. Check out my other videos. Please comment and please thumbs up if you like them. If you don't like them, thumbs down. It's not the end of the world. I'm not gonna cry like Chris Bosh did last night. Next week I plan on talking about all these remakes of TV shows and movies that are going on in Hollywood and what's going on, why anybody can't be original. But that's my time. Thank you for tuning in. Love y'all. Peace.